I am a creature of darkness, evil of the night on my quest to count a one, a two.
Hey, I'm Jonathan,
And I'm John.
and today we're going to review the new 2014 horror thriller Dracula Untold. So, John, what are your expectations going into this movie?
Well, my expectations were, I wasn't expecting a really great movie, but I did think it would be fun. You know, it seemed
Sure.
like it's the origin story of Dracula, so I thought there would be some cool special effects in it, and it would have some fun action. And, but then again, I was half worrying it would be another I, Frankenstein, which was awful. If any of you saw that, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's what I was expecting. What about you?
Pretty much the same thing, except I was looking forward to it a little bit more. I thought the trailer was great, had
Yeah.
great marketing, like, oh, this could be really, really good. It didn't look particularly original, but it just looked well made.
Yeah. I was thinking that it could be interesting to show the backstory of Dracula, how he became what he is. But honestly, it doesn't really take the route, I think. This is one of the biggest problems I had with it was it didn't try to be a really interesting movie about how Dracula came to be who he is. It just sort of took more of the action horror route.
Yeah, this movie ended up being pretty generic, predictable, with some few noteworthy things, but let's just go ahead and go into the story first. So, the story of Dracula Untold revolves around Vladimir, or Vlad the Impaler, and he's ruling his kingdom, and the Turks come in and basically say, you're going to have to give us 1,000 boys, or we're going to go...
Be in our army.
To be in our army, or we're just going to slaughter you. Dracula's like, oh no, what am I going to do? So in order to protect his family and his people, basically he goes up to this mountain and tries to use the dark forces to help him.
And so, the story for this movie, it wasn't particularly original, and you know how it's going to end, so some of the tension and suspense kind of wasn't there, I feel
Right.
like.
Suspense wasn't in the movie whatsoever, but overall the story was pretty straightforward.
It was very clean-cut and
right,
straightforward.
except the end is very rushed. Like 15,
Yeah.
20 minutes, they really just slam it into another direction.
The
which
end is
wasn't
pretty
necessary.
anticlimactic.
I agree. So let's go on to the performances. So we have the main two people, or only noteworthy people in this movie, are Luke Evans and Dominic Cooper. Luke Evans playing Dracula.
I would say there's really only one noteworthy person.
Well,
is
Dominic
Luke
Cooper, he's
Evans.
done several things before. I'm just saying people that are going to know.
Oh, no, I mean, like, noteworthy characters.
Oh yeah, Luke Evans.
No
I'll
one
say-
else matters really in the movie but him.
No. I will say Luke Evans does a surprisingly good job as Dracula.
Yeah, all the roles are pretty thinly written, honestly. The story and characters all seem just like an excuse to have cool Dracula action and effects in it. And those are in it, but yeah, Luke Evans, I think, brought all that he could have brought to a role like that.
Right, but for the rest of the cast, Dominic Cooper, he was pretty good, but
They all did an okay job.
yeah, it was all fine. I mean, it wasn't noticeably bad, but it wasn't good
Yeah.
either. It was kind of lukewarm. Now let's go on and go to the directing. I thought that some of the cinematography in this movie was very well done.
I enjoyed the directing, yeah. I thought that it was a very good-looking movie.
For sure. I'm not sure where they shot it. It looked like maybe New Zealand, somewhere you have a lot of vast open spaces.
Somewhere in, like, Europe,
But
somewhere, yeah.
the movie has this kind of dark filter over it, dark, clear, kind
Yeah.
of gritty at times, and it was interesting, and it definitely felt the Dracula
Yeah.
role.
Well, I feel like the dark tone of it, as you mentioned, it worked for the movie visually, just in terms of pure looking at it. But I felt like this movie tried to be too dark. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was taking itself a little too seriously. It was trying to be all dark and serious when there should have been more just fun Dracula action stuff happening.
I do agree. And that's when I want to move on to the last thing. Speaking of fun Dracula action, some of the visuals in this movie are fantastic.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff, but then you also have some really, really bad things. For example, green screen.
Well, I only thought there was one part where there was a really bad green screen, like pretty
True.
much only marginally better than this,
Yeah.
if not just as good. And that took me out of it, but other than that, I was on board with the visuals. I thought there were
Okay.
some really cool special effects, cool, set pieces and costume design especially. I thought that was the biggest thing this movie had going for it,
Mhm.
and that was probably the biggest thing I was expecting from it.
Right, I agree. And the last thing I wanted to touch on before we go and wrap it up is, did you think that the PG-13 rating held it back any?
Yeah, the PG-13 rank definitely held it back. Every time, this was one of the biggest problems I had with it. Every time there was some action or violence, it would immediately become like the Hunger Games. It was like
Right.
shaky cam.
I don't think it was that. It's that bad because you could see there were some things going on,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it did feel like they couldn't show a lot of blood or gore.
It was shot very sporadically.
Right.
To
It was
try
just
to
like bat, sword, ching, ching,
Bat
ching.
swords. People are dead. What?
Okay, so
So before we end, I just want to
Okay.
say, at Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights event this year, this is going to be made into a haunted house. So how do you feel this would translate into a haunted house experience?
I don't really think it's going to translate too well.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems very dull. I'm not even sure how you could do something like that unless it's just you running away from Dracula.
I mean, I think there's definitely good opportunity there, but I don't think it's going to be
Right.
that good because it's just going to be to market it.
Well, if I would set up, how I'd have it is you're a Turk about to face up against Dracula and you've heard the rumors and everything.
That would be cool.
And then he just comes out and takes out
I mean, that
everyone.
might be how they're doing it. I don't know. But I think it could be really good, but I think they're just going to take more of the promotional route and just make it kind of cheaply, like they did with The Thing House of 2011. It was just to promote the movie. But I'll be there this year, so I have high hopes still.
Oh, yes. So, John, what would you give this movie?
I mean, this movie had a lot of things wrong with it. Some of the visuals were a little off. The story was very bland, and the ending was rushed. But all in all, I did have fun with the visuals and some of the action. So I'm gonna give it just gonna push a positive review here and give it 3 out of 5 stars.
All right, John, I'm in the same ballpark as you, but I'm a little bit on the lesser half. I really didn't enjoy this movie too much. It did have some fun elements, but I thought that it was very generic. Some of the visuals were a little sometimes, but for the most part were great. You had some shaky Hunger Games action, and the performances were pretty dull with a mediocre script.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I'm going to give Dracula Untold a 2.9 out of 5 stars.
Alright, so have you seen Dracula Untold? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And also, if you've been to the haunted house, let us know what you thought of it. We'll be interested in that. And also, you can you follow us on Twitter at Stubmasters and buy Stubmasters merchandise at cafepress.com/Stubmasters. And we're doing a podcast now, which is on
Right.
our SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Stubmasters. So go check all those things out if you like our videos. Alright, for Stubmasters Reviews, I'm John.
And I'm Jonathan.
Have a great day.